Welcome to Marketing with Confidence. I'm your host, Marianne Amies. We're going to be talking all things digital and online marketing for business owners and marketing professionals. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by your digital marketing, be sure to listen along and you'll hear tips, interviews and more that will give you the confidence to create marketing you love. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing with Confidence. Today, I'm going to talk about how to craft your killer marketing budget. Marketing budgets are, I guess, when you come from big business or a kind of professional marketing role, it's something you're really familiar with. And the marketing budget process is something that happens every year. Often it happens in advance of 1st of July if you're a July to June financial year business, so that on that 1st of July tick over, that budget can launch. And to do that, the process involves reviewing what's happened, looking at the goals for the year ahead, and then setting that budget. And it's no different for small business, except I think often we don't give that time to a budgeting process that we may do. And obviously that's because as small business owners, we wear so many different hats. So getting that chance to sit down and look at a budget can sometimes be quite difficult. I know when I speak to a lot of business owners, they often don't know what their budget should be. They know what their goals are and they know what they want to achieve, but really being able to identify what that number should be and relevant to their business is really hard. And to be honest, there's no magic solution. There's no hard and fast answer. It really depends on a lot of factors. And we're going to talk about that today and really break down how you can start to craft yourself a marketing budget that aligns to your goals and your business size, and how that can be a simple process and really motivate you to go out and achieve what you've got in mind. So kicking off, let's talk about building those foundations of the budget. So before we can even start to begin our build for our marketing budget, we need to think about what our goals are. So, when you think about the year ahead, what does your business need most? Does it need more awareness? Does it need lead generation? So marketing that's going to get the phone ringing or get people filling in forms and reaching out? Or is it about actual sales of a product if you're an e-commerce business, or sales of a digital product or workshop or events? Really getting clear. Now, we're not just going to have one of those goals. We're likely going to have a few different goals. So, for example, we might have a goal to increase our brand awareness within our ideal client to then generate more leads, or, to increase awareness and to generate more sales. So, to be honest, brand awareness is a constant goal for all small businesses. We are not at the size where we, generally have market penetration with our ideal client. So having brand awareness goals every year and having what I like to talk about as sort of always on marketing that supports those goals are critical to staying in the conversation and, being able to push people further down a funnel, if you like, towards conversion. Now, those goals are going to be different depending on your business size as well. So if you're launching, you've not done business before and you've got a new product or a new service, you're going to need to put a lot more into brand awareness because you don't have a database that's engaged with you yet. You don't have any sort of data or customer base that you can start to connect with. If your business is growing, again, your marketing budget is going to need to be around brand awareness, but it's also going to be really driven around that conversion piece. So whether that's leads or whether that's sales, you're going to need quite an aggressive budget to turn that awareness into action to support your growth goals. And if you're in a maintenance phase, that's when your budget can be maybe scaled back a little bit. Again, having some sort of always on brand awareness strategy and having a maintenance strategy against your conversion tactics, but not having to go so aggressively at it because you're maintaining that momentum that you've already built up. Like with any budget and any financial analysis, we really do need to take stock of the current situation. So if in the last 6 to 12 months you've engaged in marketing activity and you've had a marketing budget, or you can identify expenses that you attribute to marketing, it's really good to lay these out and have a look. So I suggest looking sort of month by month in terms of what we spent that month and what happened, what were the outcomes. So if you are self-managing your social media and you're self-managing your ads, that could just be looking at kind of the time that you put into those platforms and then also any ad spend that you put in and then matching back in those months what changed. So if you were running some brand awareness ads, did you see more likes and follows, reach and engagement? If you were running sales campaigns, did they convert? What was the revenue that they brought in? So almost, I guess, your profit and loss that for your business, trying to map out a bit of a profit and loss for your marketing around, what metrics you can measure that are the bankable dollars as well as the intangible future benefits. So your kind of awareness indicators and then your expenses and start to have a look at how that's working for you. If you're outsourcing, I think it's always a little bit clearer because you have management fees. When you do it yourself, you do almost need to put a bit of a financial cost against your time because that time you spend managing your own social media or running your own ads, there is a time value of that. There is a dollar value of that. And if one day you want to outsource, you really need to start thinking about assigning that a financial expense value because it's time you could have spent elsewhere within the business developing or maximizing other strategies. So really getting a feel for what worked well. So let's say that you ran a Mother's Day promotion and you backed that in with ads. What sales did that generate? How does that look at a profitability point of view? Or, you did some collaborations with influencers to build awareness. Now, how much did that cost you? And what did you get back from it? Is that something that you'd like to do again? So when you kind of start to analyze your current situation or your past performance, you start to get a feel of what works and what doesn't work for your business. And then you need to look at how you're going to create that budget. So as I said, one way is to look at what you've done in the past and start to get a feel for what input of budget gives you what output of results. Now, that can, help you frame what your budget is going to be. But for a lot of businesses, they like to look at as a percent of revenue. So a common range for this is about 5 to 10%, but that's very dependent on the stage your business is in and the industry you sit within. So for example, if you're a newly launched e-commerce brand and you're chasing goals of sales, you're probably going to need to invest more towards 10 to 20% of your projected revenue back into your marketing because you're trying to aggressively get an outcome fast. And I've definitely said it on here before, I think you've always got two things. You've got time and money. So if you don't have the time to wait for results, you need more money to be able to accelerate them. And if you don't have the money to accelerate results, you really need the time to wait for things organically to take off and virally to take off. So when we think about that, a startup might need a higher percent of their revenue as marketing budget so that they can gain momentum in brand awareness. Whereas a business that's more in its maintenance phase, where it has quite a strong recurring revenue and really just wants to defend competitively and hold market share, they might be able to work with more of a 5 to 8% budget. I think for, businesses that are, they're not brand new and they're not in maintenance, that kind of really looking to grow and have really aggressive growth goals. Again, I think around that 10 to 15%, maybe even more towards 18% is going to help. And this is also dependent on industry. If you're in a crowded industry and you're new or you're not getting the results you want, you're probably going to need to up your percent of investment in marketing, whether, rather if you're in a real niche where there's not a lot of market domination and you've got something really new and unique for the customer, then you're not going to have to, can invest at such a high percent. The other thing is to look at what your competitors are doing. So looking at your competitors, analyzing their marketing strategy, seeing where they're allocating their resources. This can also help you kind of in some benchmarks. I mean, obviously we don't want to copy our competitors at all, But we want to consider their USPs and our USPs, their target audience, our target audience, and look for learnings. If you're seeing that your competitors are doing a lot of event marketing and you're not, maybe you need to say, is this the year that we try event marketing? What is that going to cost us? What is that going to look like for our business? It may also be that your competitors are, running a lot of sales campaigns, or on Google, you can see that they're heavily investing in Google ads, and you can kind of do some forecasting in there to look at what you may need to spend on Google ads to maintain brand share and market share, and sort of build your budget around that. So it's important to sort of look at your own goals, but it is really important to look at the context that you're operating in to get a feel of how you're going to build that budget. So now you may be starting to think about a total budget that you're willing to spend for the year. You may know your revenue goals for next year or the period ahead, and you've looked at a percent that seems about right for your industry, for your offer, for your goals. So, for example, you're looking to do $200,000 in the next 6 months, and you've set your goal budget to be about 15%. So with that in mind, you've got about a $30,000 marketing budget for that 6-month period, which is going to break down to about $5,000 per month that you're willing to spend to generate this $200,000 revenue in that period. So what we need to do then is break up that $5,000 per month across the different areas we want to invest. So first of all, you're going to want to look at, what are the most relevant marketing channels for your audience? Where are you going to reach your audience against your different goals? So is it that you need to outsource social media, or is it that you need to outsource email marketing? Is it that you need to invest in ads, both within management and within ad spend? So sort of breaking down those different channels and putting, fleshing out that budget of management fees, of ad spend. Are there any events that you want to attend? Is there any seasonal promotions you want to really back in, as that lead up to Christmas when we know we've got our Black Fridays and our Click Frenzies? Is there one of those that you want to go against hard and you're going to kind of save your budget and really invest it at that time? Or you're going to do email marketing leading into that time to really build your database to try convert without a heavy reliance on ads? Are you doing billboards, or are you doing industry magazine ads, or whatever it might be? You need to look at those different marketing channels in that period and start to break down the investment you're going to need to make in terms of each of those channels by month and what those costs are. Again, looking at finding those cost-effective solutions and thinking outside of the square. As I said, and those key e-commerce periods leading into Christmas, ads and media buying can really increase. So what can you do in the earlier part of your budget to really build an email database? So during that time, you can back in email marketing and not have to rely so heavily on paid ads. So really starting to break down the different channels and how you're going to plot your spend against them. And then also it's really important to prioritize different channels based on your goals. If your goals are really around awareness, how much of that can be done through organic social media with a small advertising spend to get it out to new eyeballs. Whereas if your goal is really about conversion and growth, how much of that is going to need to be through ad spend on, be it Google ads or Meta ads, or a platform that's going to really get you in front of your buyers when they're most primed to buy. So I think it's really looking at that marketing mix of where are you going to be, what are the goals, and why are you there, and therefore what is your investment breakdown in those areas to really support those goals as well. So I usually do this in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, and I like to break it down by month. And then I would down, one column, have all the different marketing channels, and maybe under those channels, just break out the goal under that channel. And then, if there's a dollar associated with that, I would detail that. Otherwise, I may just write some notes below about, what I'm doing on that channel to achieve that goal. As I said, if it's about even keeping a cold audience warm, that could be by email marketing. That might not necessarily have a direct cost if you're doing that yourself. It might just be the subscription fee of your email platform that you pop in your marketing budget. But, if it's your time and you're self-managing that, you may just want to put in your notes, what's happening in terms of email marketing to the next 6 months to kind of keep your warm audience warm and on that path to conversion. So then finally, I think, just some tips and tools and resources for you. So, it's important when you're a small business to look for any savings that you can, identifying what parts of your marketing spend work the most for your return on investment and, looking at what tools you can use that are free or are low cost to support your goals. For example, Facebook or Meta in the last few years has come out with quite a good scheduling program that's native in Meta, in the Meta Business Suite. That can be a way to not pay for a third-party platform that might cost you $30 or $50 a month, and that can help you. It could be around looking at your email marketing provider and looking at other options. We hear a lot of good things about MailerLite being quite cost-effective. So, looking at, subscriptions is the first really good way to look at where you can cut your budget back. Obviously, as I touched on before, thinking about when competitively media spend might really increase and thinking of your marketing strategies of how you can work around that. Always coming back to things like networking and collaborations and cross competitions. What can you do with other small business owners that's going to help get your brand in front of their, complementary audience, non-competitive, that's going to help leverage both brands. To really grow. And then I guess, really upskilling yourself in the areas that, maybe you don't want to outsource and you want to keep as the business owner. So whether that is organic social media or whether that is, email marketing or ads management, what can you do to upskill to kind of save some of those management fees and focus your budget more around, ad spend or eventing and printing and costs like that. I also think it's really important to track and measure your budget. As I touched on at the start, the perfect way to kick off budgeting is to look at what you did last year. And if you track and measure as the year goes along, you're going to save yourself the pain of getting to the end of the period and then having to collate all that data. So I really think each month looking at what you spend, looking what the results are, tracking that, whether that's, again, in an Excel sheet or a Google sheet, or you create yourself a bit of a report template. Canva has some gorgeous report templates. You want to, really be keeping your finger on what you've spent and what the results are, because that's going to help next year or next period inform your decision making. And especially when you start to look at like-for-like periods, Christmas last year versus Christmas this year, you can really start to budget and forecast more effectively if you've tracked and measured as you've gone along. And then, of course, it's really important to adapt and evolve your budget. I think one of the biggest benefits of small business is that we're agile. We can move a lot faster than big businesses to make change. So, if you have something that you've budgeted, say you budgeted Google ads for the whole 6 months period, but 2 to 3 months in, they're just not generating any signs of optimization. And it does take 2 to 3 months to see those results, I must say, but if there's no positive signs, nothing, no momentum where you can kind of see, okay, these are going to work, they just need to get there, then maybe it's time to look at the budget and move some of that investment around to what is working. If Meta ads comparatively are really working, then move that budget around. Or, a opportunity may come up to do a collaboration or to do an event and it's not in your budget. That's when you kind of look at, okay, how's my revenue tracking? Am I really behind? And I actually need this injection of a marketing opportunity to try catch up on my revenue goals. Or we're tracking really well and we've got some surplus and, this is a great opportunity to expand our awareness and maximize that. So looking at your budget and being prepared to be flexible with it as with your marketing plan overall. really looking to test whatever you can and learn, and talk about that so much, that marketing is not static. It's never really done. We're always in a state of learning, improving, moving forward with what we can. And, there's so much data available to us, whether that's from Google Analytics or it's from the platform like Shopify or Meta or your email marketing platform, really looking at what you're doing and the results it's generating and testing different ideas and theories to see if you can improve those results is so critical to your success. So I really want to encourage you today to start to work on a marketing budget. It's quite interesting. When I started in marketing, we were always sort of seen as the fluffy, fun, long lunches and coloring pencils kind of department. But to be honest, marketing is as much a numbers game as any part of the business. It's so important to understand the financials of your marketing, to look at what investment of time and money you need to put in to garner the results that you want. So I really implore you to, look at past performance and define your goals, to map out a budget that really supports them, and then to actively track and measure that so that you can continue to make decisions in real time and also have more information for your future budgets as well. I'd love to hear from you, if you've got questions, if you need some resources as well. I've definitely got different templates I'd love to share with you. So feel free to reach out over Instagram or via the podcast. And good luck. I look forward to hearing your stories of marketing budget success and growing your business. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode. If you don't want to miss one, make sure you subscribe to the show in your podcast app. And if you love it, be sure to share it with friends and colleagues who you think could benefit from increasing their digital marketing confidence. Want more? Head to maryanneamies.com to find out how you can work with me directly, to reach out to have me speak at your event, or to grab yourself some free resources.